Well, we'll talk about this with our guest on the platform. Joining me is Professor Madhav Nalapad, Editorial Director of the Sunday Guardian. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, Defense and Strategic Affairs Expert, also joins us. Ambassador Suresh K. Goyal, former diplomat, is also here with us. And last but by no means the least, Mr. RVS Money, former Under Secretary of Internal Security, also joins us on the platform. Professor, absolutely. And Mohammed Ali Shah, he's been running his operations from Karachi in 6 continents. He's given money to Colombian cartels, to bike gangs in the United States and Mexico as well. And yet he went about undetected. He's given money to JEM, to Lashkar-e-Taiba, to Hezbollah, anybody, any thug who wanted money to proliferate his cause. All he had to do was just perhaps get in touch with this gentleman, and there he was. In fact, according to Robert Casita, a US drug enforcement agent, he went on to say that his reputation in the underworld of crime was that of a James Bond villain.
Preet, in the year 2006, I was posted with the Assam Rifles in Nagaland. I remember in a joint operation raid, we caught a lady carrying counterfeit notes worth close to 10 lakhs. At that time, the 1,000 rupees notes were very common. And when we interrogated her, the entire link was traced back to Pakistan. So, I mean, that is the kind of our panelist just said, Mr. Javed Khanani, he who had committed suicide, he was publishing counterfeit notes. Now, these notes are circulated. Now, the online transaction white, which from one bank to other bank, can be traced. When there's a will, there's a way. It is complicating, no doubt, but if we really put our heart and soul to it, it can be traced. The money which is not inside banks, now through hard intelligence, the way we operated there. Now, the 20 pages intelligence assessment that we have against this gentleman over here, also 54 shell companies have been unearthed right now. So one should keep a close track on companies which are only serving as a front-end company. Their whole purpose, there are many companies apparently. Recently, I heard someone saying that, a friend of his works for a company where apparently there's no work. They fail to understand that people slog to earn hard-earned money. On the other hand, this company has been very generous with their salaries. A lot of people would wonder which company is this. And it's called 2 punch and 1 lunch. 2 punch means in the morning you punch in the evening you punch out. There's no work in that company. You have lunch and you go back. So these are companies which are actually converting black money into white. Why only companies? In the 90s, especially the film industry, a lot of films were made which were to convert. A lot of D companies' money was being used in the 90s to fund films. At that time, the whole purpose of a film, whether a film is a hit or a flop, wouldn't matter, as long as they are converting the black money to white. So similarly, when there's a will, there's a way. And of course, it is little, well, not very surprising, but it is little perturbing. How come such huge transactions were not unearthed, were not discovered at that time? But hats off to the headquarters of the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, the FINCEN in Virginia. They have unearthed this racket, and it's given us a very, very good lead to close in on the perpetrators.
Absolutely. And Major Mohammed Ali Shah, organized crimes and the unorganized way in which it is being dealt with is also something which the government is going to be worried about. But obviously, there have been relevant points made here in the internationalization of money, the openness of sending and receiving, and even the transparency is something which is more or less like a double-edged sword.
Exactly, Vineet. Now, see, Vineet, if we analyze it, 11 September 2015, Mr. Altaf Khanani was arrested at the airport in Panama. He was in jail in Miami for 5 years. In July this year, about 2 months back, he was released, and it wasn't very clear for me whether he was deported to UAE or to Pakistan. But now it's clear. I mean, he went to Pakistan. So now you see, barely 2 months since he's been released from jail. But look at, he's already in the limelight. The US agencies have already kept a hawk's eye, which means they are somewhere, they are alert. So it is not impossible to catch them. Such kind of people, they would be more like him, and he has been funding organizations like Al-Qaeda, Taliban, Jaish Mohommed, Lashkar-e-Taiba, the D company, Dawood brand. So it is not impossible to actually, if the government, and I'm sure the government is going to come up with a lot of things to nab to get cracking on these people, because terror funding is something which we all know. I mean, it is, they are going to pay hell for this completely. Now, on 11 December 2015, there was a notice which was issued in which the Khrani, the MLO, where it was exploiting relationship with its financial institutions like funneling billions of dollars. I mean, he has done transaction worth 14 to 16, I mean, billion dollars, imagine. And look at the suspicious activity, 21 121, that's 2,121 suspicious activity reports were there. There were $2.99 trillion, not billion. Look at that. And more than 400 accomplished. And 88 countries were there. 110 new organizations. And as you rightly read out the data reads, it was Deutsche Bank 1,100 and $1,310 billion. JP Morgan $514 billion. Standard Chartered $116.6 billion. Bank of New York $64.1 million. Billion dollars, sorry. Barclays $21.6 billion. HSBC Holdings $4.48 billion. My goodness, look at the money involved. It is big money. And certainly, I mean, I'm sure ultimately a lot of these people who are indulging the activities are not getting any far from here. And those of us who are listening to us over here, and those of us who are not aware where our money is being invested, please be more alert and invest carefully, is my advice. I would like to
there was a